So, in this decompression post March video, I just
Yes.
wanted to capture your thoughts about how you feel things have changed or developed after the march.
It's quite interesting because on the day of the march, like while we were marching, it seemed like we had like loads of people. And then reading about it later, the estimates are it was between 4 and 10,000 that we had on the counter protest. But the actual, like Tommy protest, the estimates were between 100 and 120,000 people. So we were dwarfed by the Tommy crew.
At the time on the march, did you feel like that?
It didn't at first, but then when the trouble started kicking off and we were penned in and basically blocked off by the police from moving anywhere for about 2 hours, it was very much, you could feel they were surrounding us, and it looked a bit hairy for a while, but thankfully, I mean, it's not often you'll hear me praise the police. They were very standoffish, considering how they go in and arrest, people holding placards. There were Tommy fans throwing things at the police, setting off fireworks to scare horses, which I've got footage of, and just trying to attack people. And the police, very standoffish, very not wanting to arrest people. And you can kind of understand it a bit. I think there's 20,000 metropolitan police spread all over London, and you've got 100 to 120,000 angry, drunk, predominantly white men looking to kick off. So you can see why they weren't being too heavy-handed, but at the same time, it was like you're basically letting them do what they want to do.
Did you feel the police presence? Did you feel like the horses were necessary?
Absolutely. I mean, I was talking about the other day about like how it's amazing after all this time, still the best like kind of crowd control weapon we have are horses, and it's amazing the effect that they have, because there's quite a few times the crowds were surging forwards, and then you would get the horses move in, and straight away the effect it has on moving the crowd back's immense.
Were any of the horses injured?
No, there was a bit hurt. Like I say, there was a firework set off, and that really panicked the horse, and for a second it looked like the horse might even trip over, but it got its feet back under it again. And it just goes to show, like, I'm seeing online people saying, like, well, why were the Tommy fans kicking off? We must have been winding them up. Like, we were listening to speeches and they just started pouring in from all sides, I guess that's the good thing, is that they didn't really try to break the police lines. There's a lot of swearing, a lot of pushy, a lot of throwing stuff, but no actual attempts at trying to push back past the police.
There seemed to be a healthy amount of alcohol drinking on their part when I was watching footage.
Yeah, I mean, one of the shots, it's, my fault, my inexperience of these sort of things. When we were driving in on the coach, they were already, and this was at 11:30, I clocked the time, but I didn't film any of it. And I kicked myself as soon as we went past, because there were people like weeing in up against buildings in the parks. They were drinking Stella. This is at 11:30. By the time we arrived for the speeches, by the time we got to our destination for the march, that was like, you're looking at 3 o'clock. So you've got a whole, 4 hours from then, and it didn't look like that was when they started either. They were already tanked up. So you're talking 5-6 hours of drinking all day.
Did you feel that was the same behaviour on the kind of counter-protest
I
side?
did not see a single can of alcohol
Okay.
on the whole march.
And I noticed as well that there was an awful lot of mess left behind, debris, a lot of cans, a lot of food wrappers, flags, etc., lacing the streets of London. Where was that coming from?
I mean, that definitely wasn't from us. There was some rubbish. What you saw a lot of people doing was piling up the placards and things from the end of the day and putting them in piles by rubbish bins. There were bin bags that were filled up with rubbish. For the most part, myself included, the food that we'd eaten, we took that rubbish home with us.
Okay, so I'm curious because the protest talks about the march was, making Britain great again and keeping Britain British, and obviously how beautiful the country is and how important British values are. Do you think that sentiment came across at all from the march?
Well, I mean, you have to look at what they were doing to the police for a start. They're talking about people coming over here disrespecting our laws, yet from the outset, as soon as they saw us, they were trying to kick off. There were people trying to kick off while we were walking, instigate trouble. Not valuing the laws of the land, as it were, at all. As for, disrespecting the city, I mean, you could clearly see all of the cans of lager, the food containers, all of the, they were setting off fireworks, they were setting off smoke grenades, they were setting off everything they could. You could clearly see, for a lot of these Tommy fans, it was just a day out of living out their fantasies as wannabe football hooligans.
Yeah, I think I've heard quite a bit about that, kind of like reliving Football Factory, Green Street kind of marching band moments.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are football hooligans. I think they are just kind of cosplaying it. They've seen the films and this is their chance to sort of live that dream.
Okay, so you think most of the people who went there were just kind of looking to have a bit of a ruckus?
Yeah, and as I say, from looking at it, they didn't even really want to have a ruckus. They didn't want to sort of truly kick off. They just wanted to make a noise, get drunk. It's like a festival for them, and they've gone away from this thinking that they've won. But what I know is that we have the staying power. 100 and whatever thousand turned up on Saturday. But I know if they had another demo next weekend, our numbers would probably grow, theirs would diminish, and they don't have the staying power to do it.
So obviously you were listening to what they had to say. Do you feel that they got their hopes, aspirations, and their kind of ideas across? Did you come away knowing what they were marching about any clearer?
What, from the counter-protest side or the pro?
No, from the march, the Tommy Robinson march.
So since then I've listened, because we didn't hear what they were saying because we were at our own march listening to our own speeches, But since then I've listened to it, and it's a bizarre thing because they're going on about wanting Britain British. Yeah, I saw a speech with Tommy where they were showing American Democrat politicians and booing them, and then bringing up Trump and everyone cheering. And for me, it's like, well, I thought you wanted Britain to be British. Why are we bringing American politics into this? Why are we championing an American politician? Why are we even bringing it up at a demo which is about being British. It's like, oh, so we want that outside influence from a white or predominantly white country, but we don't want that influence on people wanting to come here and actually live here and take part in the country.
Well, I think there was some cherry picking going on, because we could see from a lot of memes that were made, a lot of kind of comedy videos, were that a lot of the Tommy Robinson marchers were stopping off to have a biryani or some Chinese food or some Indian food. And how does that make you, what do you think about that when people want to cherry pick which parts of cultures they want to keep and which parts they want to deport?
Yeah, which parts do we choose to get rid of, which do we choose to keep? I mean, I had this thought this morning when I was talking to you, because you were talking about your Scottish family always going on about Scotland and the things that were great about Scotland. And then we're talking about your dad from Iran, where he's always talking about fruit being bigger in Iran and like, you know, what
Everything
Iran
tastes
does
better.
Yeah, everything tastes better, the food's better. And to be honest, I'm kind of with him with a lot of that, but Goma sabsi, yum yum. Yeah, and I feel like I said to you before about what I think British culture is. I never ever thought about it because it just was. We were always taught in school that the British Empire was the greatest thing ever. We were taught that we were the greatest. It wasn't that long, you think, really, when we were at school from when we'd won the Second World War. We were the greatest. We didn't have to worry about what was British culture. It just was. And it feels like since Brexit, since inflation's hit, since all of these things have happened, you know, a lot of people thought Brexit was going to happen and we would become this mighty power and show the world what we are. And what it's shown is that we're just a declining nation now. We're not this great superpower anymore. We haven't been for a long time. And the EU was propping us up and keeping us where we were, falsely. Watch your head. Just keeping the camera woman safe. So we are a declining country. We don't need to be, we don't have to be, but choices that governments have made, successive governments, Tory and Labour, have put us on the decline. And it seems like since we're going through this decline, people are now struggling to think, what is Great Britain? Why is Great Britain great? And so you've got a lot of this putting up the flag. Let's be proud of the flag. And then we have to blame other people for why things are failing. It's not our fault. It's these immigrants coming into the country. It's their fault. But the thing is, like, if you got rid of all of the immigrants, if you got rid of all of the foreign fake flags, if you put flags up on every single lamppost, their lives are still going to be shit. And that's the problem. Like, it's a declining country. We are on the decline, and as part of that decline, we are going through a crisis of what we are, and we have to accept we're a little island off the coast of Europe. We are European, and we aren't an empire anymore.
Do you think that perhaps the curriculum that we're taught at school isn't helpful? Because I think they don't really talk about, during World War II, how much help England got and how much they relied on Indian soldiers, Polish soldiers, and multiple kind of countries with Muslim soldiers coming in as well.
Well, I think, the problem is deeper than that. You know, when we talk about the empire, it's as if England went out and conquered all of these nations, and England didn't go out and conquer all of these nations. Like, we had to work. You know, when we took over India, our actual armed forces that we sent over there was less than 100,000 men. We had to work with other Indian nationals to take on other areas of India. And so we took over India as part of a conglomerate. And that's pretty much how we've won every war, well, going back for millennia. You know, we've always used soldiers from other countries to bolster us. We've always been a nation of cultures coming together to get our end goal. And it seems like we don't want to recognise that. We want to make out that it was just England or it was just the UK. And you couldn't really get further from the truth. So World War II, yeah, we needed a lot of help. And the people that really bled for us in World War II were the Soviets. And people really do seem to hate that idea, you know. The Soviet Union took the brunt of the fighting. America took the brunt of the financial strain. We took the brunt of the debt. And I think we only paid it back in like 2010 or something like that. You know, I don't know, I think we are still taught that we are this great country that is superior to all others. And we need to learn that we're actually not. And we have to acknowledge that a reason a lot of the immigrants are coming here is because they listen to this stuff that we put out there, and they think that they're going to come here, and this country is the land of milk and honey, and then they discover actually it's not what they thought it was. And I think if you let people come here, they're going to sort themselves out, because a lot of economic migrants are going to come here and realise that actually there's a lot of better countries out there to go and live. You know, when you look at the EU, when we were part of the EU and you had freedom of movement, that took care of itself. A lot of people came here initially, and then when they realised they could make a lot better living in Sweden, in Norway, in Germany, in Holland, they all went to those countries. And, you know, do that with immigration. Let the people come, see if they want to stay.
Do you think that moving forward, there'll be many more of these marches to come?
I think during the winter months, we're definitely going to see a lot less. You tend to see that with sort of protests in general. As soon as it gets a bit cold and wet, people don't want to take part in them anymore. And judging by the Tommy Robinson fans that I saw, they just don't have the staying power. They're thugs, but I don't think they can really afford to keep going. I don't think they have the willpower to keep going. I think they just want to show up and shout a lot and feel like for a moment that they're important for something.
Do you think that these people are maybe just so disenfranchised, so sad about the poverty and the state of Britain right now, socioeconomically speaking? Do you think that maybe they're using this as an opportunity to just shout and scream because they're sad and angry?
Well, but it goes back to what I was saying about the declining nation. You know, we haven't got the money that we have, doesn't go as far as it used to. And throughout history, we always look for scapegoats. At the moment, it's Muslims. Go back 100 years or so, and it was Jews. You know, we're always looking for a scapegoat. It was the disabled. It was single mothers. It's always been, when times get hard, we are told that it's not the people that are actually causing the issues that are the problem, it's these other people that are below you. And something as human beings we're really awful at is punching down. We love to take a swipe at those beneath us, and that includes us on the left. You know, we quite often look at these toothless, beer guzzling people that can barely write English, and we love to like lift ourselves up and go, well, we're morally superior, we're intellectually superior, you know, these are just idiots that don't understand. When the truth of the matter is, these are just people that are struggling. They're struggling with identity. You know, what is your identity anymore? They're struggling with modern times. If all your money's going on rent and mortgage payments, you can't even go to football anymore. You can't go and have a hobby. You know, your hobby is now shouting at hotels and painting roundabouts because, let's face it, that's cheap. And so people are looking for an identity. They're looking for a cause. They want to belong to something bigger. And instead of focusing on that, focusing all that energy on actually making a better country, let's go and push the government for more investment, for better infrastructure, for more schools, for better funding of the NHS. We're shouting at hotels going, I want these people who are only here because they want a better life to get out of the country, even though that's not going to affect their lives in one slight bit.
So, moving forward, what do you think we need to do?
I think we need more people to get out on the streets and to say, we are not accepting this. We're not accepting your hatred. We're not accepting your intolerance. We are Great Britain because, historically speaking, we worked with all of these different countries, all of these different cultures to make our country better.
So, apart from coming out to say no to hate, what do you think the people should be doing en masse about the politicians then?
Well, I mean, you know, a lot of these men are talking about protecting women. So what do we need to protect women? We need a police force that takes women's claims on rape serious. We need a prosecution system that actually prosecutes rapists. We need better training, better education. We need a whole different outlook on our economy, because for a long time our economy was basically based on the financial institutions, which, thanks to coming out of the EU, we no longer have as much access to. You know, we need to look at, are we going to try have some manufacturing? Are we going to try and get into high-tech technology? Like, we need to be pushing the government to invest in the country, because none of that is happening at the moment.
So actually probably combining forces and going out into the streets and pushing for our politicians to do more for us as a people would probably be a better use of our time.
Well, I mean, even if you think that immigration is a problem, and let's face it, there are definitely challenges with immigration. It's not that I don't think there aren't issues with people coming over here, but if we want to improve immigration, you know, push, it's the government's fault this is happening. Push for the services to process these people faster. Push for getting these people processed so that they can either go out to work and start paying back into the country, or until we put them back to where they came from, because they're not true asylum seekers. You know, a lot of the reason why the figures have gone up so much is because under the Conservatives, the system went so badly, so rubbish was the investment in it, they cut costs, that you had all of these people just in limbo, not having a decision, just living in hotels indefinitely, waiting to have it decided whether they could stay or couldn't stay. Under the Conservatives, they took away the right for people awaiting these decisions to work. So whereas they could have worked and started paying back into the system, whether they were going to be accepted or not, it then went to, no, you have to stay here, you can't work, you can't contribute. And that's a lot of the issue. So many people who are here, who are asylum seekers, want to be working, they want to be part of this country. And for that to happen, we need more investment in the asylum system.
Final message?
Just really think about what is making your life harder. Is your life hard because immigrants are here? Or is your life hard because prices are going up? Because NHS waiting lists, even though they have come down a little bit under Labour, let's give credit where credit's due. I think the Labour government are awful, but they have put more investment in the NHS than the previous government have. You know, if you want better NHS services, that's not an immigrant's fault. If you're not getting places at school, at your local school, that's not an immigrant's fault. That's a lack of investment from the government. So push where it should be pushed. That's the government. It all stops and ends in the government. And if you think reform are going to change that, you're talking about the same people that used to pay money into Conservatives. You're talking about the same Conservative MPs who have now transferred over to reform. They're business leaders. They're not people of the people. I really like the new Green Party leader. I really like Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn. I feel like now they're in their own party, the gloves are going to come off and they're going to show what we really need, which is change.